This is such a great answer. I mean, even myself, I'm processing what you just said. That is such a valuable advice. And all right, welcome, Mr. David Dilworth, better known as the Disciplined Dave. Um, First of all, I want to thank you for your time, David. I know you are a busy man, so I really, really appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us on this interview. I always like to start by, kind of getting an introduction. So if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do, who the type of people that you serve. I think that will be a great start.
Okay. So I have a YouTube channel that's called Discipline Dave, and I make videos showing people how to get in shape, most commonly with resistance bands. Resistance bands and calisthenics seems to be the crowd of people who watch the videos. And one of the cornerstones of the mantra that I have on the channel is I put the technique in your physique. So I make sure that technique and form is used in everything as a central theme of everything in the channel, because I believe that that is what a lot of people are missing. I feel like people are just doing exercises, but they're not actually contracting and stretching the muscles properly in order to achieve the the best body that they've ever had in their life. And I feel like that's the key element, so I show people how to do that. And I do that through a series of videos, and I try to reach people in many different ways, from short form content to long form. And I try to be educational and entertaining at the same time.
Man, that is such an awesome way to introduce yourself. And I also want to mention congratulations. I remember when you started that channel, and now you have, if I'm not mistaken, around 77,000 people in your channel. Is that correct?
Correct.
Wow, that's such an achievement. Well, the very first question that I have for you is, what sparked your interest into fitness? That what was it that got you started?
I think um, it all starts from of childhood. Of I was a big fan of WWF wrestlers. Um, there was
Very cool.
something very grand and superhero about it. I really I really liked the, I guess, the physiques they achieved. I had a lot of friends that were into different sports, and I was into wrestling. Kind of got made fun of into it because like, it's not real or whatever. But I feel like I like the whole pageantry behind it, the scenes that were in between, the whole acting part of it, more so than the actual wrestling. I think my parents thought it was raw. There was something wrong with me because I said I wanted to be a professional wrestler when I grew up. And I think the way the one dream can go can lead to another one. And so I
Right.
think that's where it started. If I had to have a root of that, and so I much got into martial arts. There was an after school program that I had when I was a kid, and I wasn't really good at a lot of organized sports. But when I took martial arts, first thing that I took was Taekwondo.
Okay.
I saw I saw the stakes were a lot higher than putting a basketball in the hoop. I'm like, I'm seeing people getting hurt and knocked out, and I think that that
Right.
was the thing for me to understand, because I think a lot of people have a false representation of what they can do in a situation where they need to defend themselves.
Right.
And once I was humbled, I realized like, oh, I need to know these things. And what I learned is that the people that were very good focused on technique. And it
Mm,
wasn't about strength, it was about technique. Further on down the line, when I started learning jujitsu, what I saw was it wasn't like the biggest muscular guys that won. It was people who understood that when they use technique and form, for instance, if you're going to do something like a rear naked choke, or most people may say it's like a little choke hold or a sleeper, some people call that,
right.
more so about cutting blood flow off from the neck to the brain. And in order to get that tight seal, requires good technique to lock it in really well. And so it wasn't about strength, it was about stretch, leverage, knowledge. What I saw was a lot of education and people who would think these are, you know, dumb meatheads. I found very smart people in this because, as someone once said, that's a little bit more versed in words than I am. I find martial arts complex problem solving with dire consequences.
Wow, that's
And
such an
so,
interesting way of describing it.
there's high level thinking at rapid time. And a miscalculation could lead to a brutal injury.
Right,
So with that, I guess the wrestling and the martial arts aspect of it made it combine into what I have now in this channel. There's the technique of the martial arts part of it, and the physique
right.
part of it was like the wrestlers there, looking like superheroes. So I guess that's kind of what led down that road.
That's really cool, and I always find it interesting how we all get our inspiration coming from a very unique source. Whether, like you said, in your case, wrestling or martial arts, we all have a story. There's
Yeah,
there's some kind of inspiration, and I think everyone needs, in a way, some kind of hero in their life. I think that's why all these movies about heroes are so popular because in a way we all kind of relate to one of those characters.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's really really cool. So can you tell us, besides your own journey, what was the turning point? How did that started? There was I know where the inspiration came from, but there
Sure.
was a turning point where you say, you know what, I really need to get this done. This is my calling.
Um, I think outside of the YouTube channel, I'm in the airline industry, and COVID happened, and people were unaware of what was happening in the airline industry. And my wife Monique, who's been in a social media space, been in a video space, she's had a lot of interactions with people who create content, YouTubers, and so much so. And I was not in that space at all. I was always just the flight attendant husband, and I
Right.
fine being that. I was very content. And my wife was the one who always said that you know what, I think you'd be like really good at like YouTube. She's like, you have charisma. You're a person who understands different things when it comes to like business and stuff. And I always kind of brush it off. And I'm trying to, I guess, say this in a nice way. The turning point for me was that I met a really big YouTuber when I would go to the gym. It was a guy. I'm really big into sneakers. Like I have a huge
Okay.
sneaker collection. I'm always getting sneakers. So I watch a lot of sneaker YouTubers. So this one guy, I saw him in the gym, and he lots of followers, lots of views. I see him all the time. I couldn't believe he was there. So I talked to him, and what I came away with was he didn't really have a plan or a strategy. He wasn't as smart as I thought he would be. And he was like, "Yeah, just I go to my friend's house, and he like helps me like edit the videos." I don't even think he really even owned a laptop. And when I saw that, I was just like, "This guy has all this, and he's not even have a plan or anything." I was like, "I could definitely do this." I don't know, like I'm saying it as nice as possible. I was just like, I had a
Right.
higher expectation.
Right.
And I was just like, imagine if this guy had drive, focus, if he actually had a strategic plan, like he would be even further along than he is. And I'm just like, he got this far with no plan. And I was just like, okay. With my wife saying that COVID happened immediately, it was like a combination of things that happened. I don't know, meant to be, or the universe speaking to me, or something like that. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And so I just made my first video. I did it on an iPhone, and I don't know, I feel like I was too stupid to fail is the best thing. Like, I didn't know what good was. I didn't know I didn't know how to go about it or
Right.
anything. I think if I knew more information, I probably would have quit early, but
Right.
I didn't know getting 10 views per video was bad. I was just glad somebody was watching, and for me, it was just like I always felt like I have something there, and all I need is just one video. I mean, I was the laundromat that I go to, I was passing out business cards. I only had like 5 people watching the channel and stuff. I don't know. I
Right.
had a crazy belief that it was that, oh, this is good. Like and it's going to kick off eventually. And I think my martial arts background had me that. I think some people when they have failure, they get discouraged, but for me, I'm like, man,
Right.
this is like the biggest growth in the learning experience. The only the only way you can not fall into an armbar chokehold is that you have to have it happen to you 1,000 times. Failure is part of the process.
Right.
So, so for me, I think that I just have a different outlook on failure than a lot of people because I understand like when you fail a lot, you're just getting leaps and leaps of information, leaps and leaps. And for me, I just got better and better at making videos and
Right.
understanding what people want to see and how to be entertaining and educational.
I can see perfectly how what you just described aligns with the actual name of your channel, because that part, that discipline,
Okay.
that you brought from your previous experiences, like the martial arts, you just put it to work into a different area. And you're
Mm,
absolutely right. I happen to agree that it's probably the biggest hurdle for people to go through, which is just, failing one or two times and then just giving up,
mhm,
not realizing that you don't, that it's part of the learning process. I think we all have to face that. And once you surpass that, you realize it probably wasn't not even a big deal. But
mhm, yeah,
and COVID, like you said, I think it was a big turning point for so many people. There were so many lives changing during the time. We finally had the time to kind of look into different areas that because we were so busy with our own life, we didn't realize it. No,
yeah.
that's such an awesome. Well, here's a tricky one,
Okay.
because this is where when people are looking at you, especially channels, how do you balance your own working routines, your own personal fitness with your content creation? How do you maintain that balance, between a content creator, but at the same time maintaining your own personal fitness?
Well, I would say the personal fitness is like the easy part because I've been doing it for so long. It's like it's just a part of my life. Like there's people who they'll like see me work out or something and like they don't know me, they haven't seen me or in a while. So I'm like, man, you're so disciplined. It's like weird for me to take a compliment for that. That's like for me, like saying you're so disciplined in brushing your teeth. Like it's just what I never think about not doing it. Like I've been doing it for so long. So that's the easy part because I enjoy it, and it's just it's a part of my day where I have to, like, when you're under doing something with, like, a lot of stress, I wouldn't say stress is probably a bad way to describe it, but things with intensity, let's just put it that way.
Okay.
It makes it so that it's almost like a form of meditation for me, where I can kinda I'm like, with my thoughts or, like, maybe I have my music and, like, things that bother me kinda slowly fade away. They don't seem as difficult. I feel energized afterwards. Or, like, some people, they would be like, "Oh, you work out and you go fly?" I was like, "Well, that's when I feel like I have the most energy."
Right.
Um, and because, like, my blood is pumping and stuff like that. And it's like one of those days, even if you don't feel like that motivated, like you always feel better when you're done. So that right there, the workouts, like that's easy because I don't have to worry about being entertaining. I'm just working out. But
Okay.
when it comes to the video aspect of it, that's a lot more difficult because you're trying to constantly see what like one what is the greatest good that I can provide for people that are watching. That's probably the ultimate thing.
Mm,
Two, what is entertaining to their that aspect of it. thinking of great ideas because what I've learned with YouTube is that a great idea kind of beats hard work. Like you
Right.
need work ethic, but a great idea, like I'll have a video that I've edited for 8 hours and I think I got slick smooth transitions and you know this nice little gift that's in the corner in there. Like I think
Right.
it won't do well, but I'll make a video that takes me 30 minutes, like how to get rid of man boobs, and like it'll be 1.2 million. Like
Right.
it's because the idea is better. And so I feel like I spend a lot of time with inspiration and ideas, and you can't like force that process, which can be counterintuitive. And you have sponsors who are like, I need to get this by a different date because you have to balance what's going to be the best creative wise and
Right.
what's going to be the business wide of it. And those two are polar opposites, you know? And
Right.
sometimes you have to manage what matters most in that video and and also the time you need to be creative because sometimes ideas hit you like a lightning bolt and sometimes they're just seeds that slowly grow, and sometimes it doesn't germinate. And sometimes it'll just be slow and then grow to a big stock. But
Right.
taking in ideas and then trying to figure out and navigate because creativity is it's something that is not like a stable platform. It's like surfing in the ocean. Like it depends on the wave, you know. It's not just you involved. It's a collaborative effort to everything that's around you. And so that right there is more of the difficult part. And so the way that I balance it is that sometimes I schedule it.
Okay.
Sometimes if I'm just like there's a thought, there's an itch that I have to scratch, like I have to drop everything and do it because the universe needs it. Like it has to be out there.
Right.
It,
That makes sense.
yeah, it's just I have to. And then sometimes it's just like, man, is a good idea ever gonna come? But
Right.
you just have to trust. You have to trust that ideas are limitless, but it doesn't come on your time. It
You
comes
can't
when
force it.
yeah, it comes when it's ready. Like certain music resonates at that
Right.
time. It's just like a right time, right era, speaks to the world. And then, if that was put out later, it doesn't have the same effect. So just knowing when the strike is
Right.
probably the hardest part.
So you will say that intuition almost plays a big role. Like you follow that part of yourself, that intuition. Okay, now is the time. Now is the
Intuition. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, because no, it makes perfect sense. And sometimes when we're looking at someone, especially when their videos or their topic is so related to their own personal life, you
Hmm.
always wonder, how do they balance that? Because your channel is about something that you actually do on a regular basis. It's like you said, you describe it as part of your life. It's not like you exercise a lot and then you're a dentist. It's a completely, it's part of your identity.
Hmm.
I believe that that's what you're such a good natural person, because you're not only a good communicator, but you're also someone that does what he preach. That's something that's so valuable. Well, this next question has more to do with our audience, and here's where I would like you to ask for your advice. How do you ensure that people that wants to start, doing those workouts at home, but they feel intimidated about it? What's your big advice for them?
Well, for one is just start. I mean, everybody has a journey, and I feel like people who aren't really in shape, there's like they don't identify themselves with people who are in shape, but the people
Mhm.
who are identify with the people who aren't because we've all been there. I've never met anybody who's like super in shape. Like, some of the best, like if you go to a gym, like maybe 1 out of 10 people are really in shape. So that's 10% of the population. All right. So if you just show up a couple days ago, you're better than half the people in the world. Like literally,
Oh,
like just showing up a couple of days a week. Like, think about that, you
wow,
know?
that's deep.
Yeah, I mean, so don't worry about all those factors there. Just a couple days a week, you're better than half of the people. And now, once you do that and you get momentum,
Right.
those 10% buyers you're looking, now maybe be time to do some 10% things. And what those people normally do is that they are very consistent. All right. So when I ask somebody who's really in shape what time in their workout, they just give me a time because that's the time they are comfortable with. They feel the most motivated. For me, it's
Mm,
around 11.
right.
Between 10 to 11:30, that's my window of time where I love to work out. Once I go past that time, my percentages kind of go down because that's just for me. There's like more people usually at that time.
Right.
It's that can be distracting for me when I'm trying to use a particular machine or something like that. And then with people with 10% bodies do, they watch what they eat a little bit there. Okay. When it comes to somebody else who's, you're looking at between 7% or lower, now those people start calorie counting. And those people, so
Mm,
it's in not and there's no biological fairness. You may not even have to do that stuff depending on your age, depending on your genetics, anything like that. You may be a person who doesn't need to watch carbohydrates or anything and probably get the body that you achieve. But a lot of people are looking for a one size fits all, but bodies don't work that way. Health doesn't work that way. Everybody has areas they're really good at and areas that they're deficient in. And the key is to recognize what those are. And that's just a brief overview. But
right.
the real key to these people is this. We talked about superheroes earlier.
Right.
And one of the things was that I learned about the DC Comics with Superman. So when Superman first came out, he only had one power, and that was he was like really strong. And it actually didn't sell. And they were like, "Man, what's going on?" Let's like, "Hey, let's give him some more powers." So they said, "All right, let's make him fly and make him really strong." So let's do that. Still didn't sell. So they're
Wow.
like, "Huh, what's going on?" Like, okay, we got to really make this guy super. So he can fly. He's really strong. He's faster than a speeding bullet. All right. He got lasers that come out of his eyes. He can freeze stuff by blowing on it and stuff like that. It still didn't sell. They were on the verge of bankruptcy. So it wasn't until they gave him a weakness, kryptonite, that people identified with that. People saw the
Wow.
humanity in Superman. And so what I tell people is this: what's your kryptonite from being Superman? Some people, it's smoking. Some people, it's drinking. Some people's relationships. You ever get into a relationship and stop working out? I've been
Right.
there. I know what it's like. Okay.
Wow.
So no matter what trainer you have, no matter what influencer you're seeing and working out, if you don't know what your kryptonite is that stops you from working out, that's what's stopping you from being Superman. I
Wow.
can't tell you what that is. You know what that is.
This is such a great answer. I mean, even myself, I'm processing what you just said. That is such a valuable advice. And if I have to break it down, so number one, obviously, just getting started. That's
Just get
it.
started.
Getting
That's it.
started. Number two, consistency. As much as you can, being consistent. But that last one, number three, just finding your own kryptonite. Wow, what a great advice, David. I mean, and this is a perfect segue to just quickly just touch. I don't want to get too deep, but I know that nutrition is a big part of fitness.
Hmm.
What's your personal take on that? How do you communicate that to your audience? Do you
Well, for one, what I hear all the time is that, oh man, it's not my workout. Trust me, it's my diet. And then I look at the workout, I'm just like, okay, like maybe you need a little work on your workout too. All right. Um, I would say if you're starting out, don't overcomplicate things. Just get into the habit of the momentum. 30
right?
minutes, maybe 3 days a week. Just
Okay,
just do that at first. You're going to see big improvements just from doing that. All right. When it comes to diet is one of those things where you're literally running an experiment on how your body responds to food. And there isn't a one size fits all savior diet that's out there. People, I think, have a problem with looking at food as healthy and unhealthy. What I ask is this: what are you trying to achieve when you're working out? Are you trying to work out for aesthetics? Are you trying to look good? When
Right.
you get that when you go to the beach or if you go to a reunion and people wanna look like, "Man, what happened to you?" Like,
Right.
is that what you want? Are you an athlete that's training for a particular sport? Alright? That's a different type of diet, a different type of workout routine.
Right.
And if you're a person who's like, "I wanna live long for my children," the other things don't matter. You're just trying to get healthy. That's another type of diet. So I would say for one, go in the mirror, no one around, no judgment. Look at yourself and say, why am I doing this? And then from there, we can determine what is going to be a diet that's going to help you achieve it. Because it is true that your diet is such a big factor. I spent a lot of years underestimating that. I made a video, I think it was like 3 months ago. It was how I got abs in 30 days. And that actually was not the original title of the video. It was no sugar for 30 days.
Oh,
But
wow.
the results were so great that I changed the title. But if you watch the video, what I did was it wasn't just I did no sugar because that was easy for me. What I did was like, okay, I'm gonna be in a calorie deficit. I'm gonna track everything I eat and take a look. And I've done that before, but I kind of like leaned out and lost muscle. So I said, all right, I'm gonna do something I haven't done before. So I'm gonna do no sugar. I'm gonna do a calorie deficit. I'm gonna increase my protein. I'm gonna do 1 gram of protein per pound. And I never really tracked it because I eat a lot of meat and stuff, and I was just like, oh, okay, I probably got a lot. I realized that it was actually harder than I thought. I was a firm believer before this process of intermittent fasting. Why? Because of I don't know, everybody says it's good or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But when I did this and I needed to get 1 gram of protein per pound, I realized like I can't skip breakfast because I won't be able to meet what I need.
Right.
So I weighed myself every day. I took a photo every day so you can see like in a time lapse, like fat melting off. The results were amazing in just 30 days, just by doing that. And so I realized like I had a whole meal plan around intermittent fast or whatever. I had to cut that out because I'm just like, I have new information now. I
Right.
have I had to recalibrate. And so for me as a person, I work out for aesthetics. I work out because I want to build muscle. What I do is that I track every single thing I put in my mouth. I weigh it out on a scale. I scan barcodes. I take a look at that and I make sure I'm in a calorie deficit. I make sure that I get a gram of protein per pound every day. And there's other little biomarkers I look at. Well, I see carbs and stuff like this, but I don't particularly focus on them too much like a lot of people think you should.
Right.
But some people's bodies are more insulin sensitive to carbohydrates than others. But you only know that if you try doing those things. So what I'm saying is that there's a lot of different diets out there. There's a lot of different programs. I would say start tracking it. Don't look
Okay.
at food as healthy and unhealthy because what happens is when you're stuck in an airport and you're gonna say, I got no options, you're gonna go straight to something that's really bad for you. Look
Right.
at food as good, better, best. All right.
Right.
It may not be a best choice, but there's a better choice.
Right. That flexibility will definitely open new possibilities if you're not so strict on your vision. You know.
Yeah. And
Wow.
if anything I leave with people, what I want to say everybody can do is that get your blood work done.
Okay.
Go do that first. Try to see because you may be a person that has a thyroid issue and like you're
Right.
doing a lot of workout and you're not seeing results. You may be deficient in certain areas because people look at like they always ask me like, what supplements should I take? I'm like, did you get your blood work done? They're like, huh? I'm like, what a supplement does is supplement what you're deficient in. So if you don't know
Right.
your deficiencies,
Exactly.
then how can I tell you what supplements you need?
You know, this makes perfect sense, and I'm glad that you touch on that because I have heard a couple of other people that I follow giving the same advice. You know, instead of pushing for something or saying something's great, get get your blood work done and find out what is it that you're deficient of,
Right.
instead of guessing or adding stuff that maybe you don't even need it. You know.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's such a great response. Well, Dave, I got two more. The last one is actually quite different, but I just like to ask this to all our guests just because it's such a big trend.
yeah.
Do you happen to use AI at all in your business?
Oh, I do. I would say if I probably 10% and 5% of it is just
Okay,
from sending emails to people because I'm a horrible speller.
okay,
And sometimes because I'm busy a lot, it can sound very cold in my emails and short. And so I use
okay.
AI to make it sound more professional.
Perfect,
So,
perfect,
and I pretty much use like what Apple has. You can right click it and use the make something sound professional, or it's the writing tools, or you can make it sound friendly. So depending on the person, I'll use that a lot. And just for my grammar correction and stuff like this. Um,
perfect.
I, my AI before was Monique because she's like so good at like writing and stuff like that. I'm good at talking. She's definitely good at writing. You know,
Perfect. We
I
all
know
have
my
our
skill
skills.
set. Yes, yes.
That's
It's
great.
those
That's
so she
great.
used to be my AI. And the other thing I use AI for is video descriptions in
Okay,
my um
for your
when I put
channel.
in my title, yeah, and I just put in a description there. So I'll put a general sense of it and then they'll just make it sound way better than I could. And then
Perfect.
I'll
That's the smart way to go. That's
yeah.
interesting. I like to hear the takes from different people about how they're using it. And last but not least, how do the people get hold of you? Please share. If someone wants to go deeper,
Mhm.
after reading the article, how
Yeah.
do they get hold of you, Dave?
I'm Discipline Dave everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I would say the best value that you can get from me is definitely on YouTube
Okay,
because I feel
perfect.
like when you're describing how to make a difference in people's life when it comes to bodies, it's you need a little bit more than 30 seconds.
Right.
But if you don't have time for that, I'm doing my best of trying to explain complex situations in a compact form. And
Perfect.
so bear with me on that. I will get better at that, but I'm a person who I like a well crafted edited video to have a vision that I have in my head come to life. And normally my dreams are longer than 30 seconds. So I literally make videos about my dreams.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that makes perfect sense. And to me, on a personal level, YouTube is my favorite content source. I don't actually use much of Instagram,
Mhm.
a little bit of Facebook, but YouTube is my go-to, especially for getting knowledge. I think
Yes.
it's possibly the best platform to do that. Well, David, I really appreciate your time. This was great. I have the feeling that we're gonna have to do this again for a more specific topic.
Yes.
But in the meantime, I want to thank you for your time. What I will do is we are gonna be including a little bio on the article, so
Hmm.
people can actually go and reach out and obviously follow you.